Hello, Colorado. Today we're going to talk a little bit about kind of a common complaint that we hear from people that are typically new clients where they feel like their health insurance policy just doesn't seem to cover anything. And I'll tell you, probably 99% of the time, what's really going on is that nobody explained to this person how their policy works. And frankly, that's one of the advantages of working with a licensed insurance agent, is you can talk to somebody who will explain how the policy works, the good aspects of it, and the weak points as well, because there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. And we all know that if something is much less expensive relative to other options, usually you're getting you're giving up something in order to get that lower price. So why does it sometimes feel like health insurance policies don't cover anything? Well, really there is unless a plan specifically lists a copay for something, you can expect it to be subject to the deductible. Now, the way that copays work, and maybe you've had a plan with copays for doctor visits, or copays for urgent care, or copays for prescriptions, are very common copays. The advantage of the copays are that these benefits are available to you on day one. So you have the predictability of the cost. You know that when you go to a primary care physician, as an example, it might be a $25 copay for that doctor office visit. So it feels like you're getting real value for that health insurance plan. Now, there are a lot of plans that are out there today, and particularly many of the bronze plans, but also even some of the silver plans that may not have copays for doctor visits or for prescriptions, or there could be limitations. And in that case, unless the plan specifically says that it has copays for services, you can pretty much count on the fact that it's going to be subject to the deductible. And as an example, even plans with copays for primary care doctors very often may not have any copay for a specialist. Now, sometimes people will misunderstand that, and they'll think, well, great, no copay for the specialist, that means that's free, right? No, that would be nice, but no, that's not what that means. When it says that it's subject to the deductible, or sometimes it'll just show a coinsurance percentage, you can count on the fact that you're going to be out of pocket for the cost of the deductible before the insurance plan is going to start paying for anything for it. And the way this commonly works, let me just give you an example, is an insurance policy might have a $2,500 deductible. Then it could have 70-30 coinsurance until you reach the out-of-pocket maximum. When you hit the out-of-pocket maximum, that's it. The plan starts paying 100% of all covered costs above and beyond that. But anyways, but up until that $2,500 deductible, or whatever the deductible might actually be on your policy, you're going to be out of pocket for pretty much anything that doesn't have a copay associated with it. And some real common things that we often see in policies that are most often subject to copays are going to be lab work. Even if you go to the doctor's office that could be subject to a copay, sometimes they'll do lab work, and it may seem like they did it, or they took the blood work in the office, but you could still wind up paying the lab work associated with that, because the doctor's office might send that blood work to a lab. It's still going to be subject to the deductible more often than not. X-rays, CAT scans, PET scans, MRIs, other types of imaging, very commonly subject to the plan deductible. Sometimes mental health care, physical therapy, occupational therapy, inpatient mental health care, very often subject to the deductible. Although some plans will have co-pays for outpatient mental health. That's something you really need to look at on the individual policy to see how that's going to be covered. Maternity, very often even things like prenatal visits as well as delivery costs, very commonly subject to the plan deductible and co-insurance up to the out-of-pocket maximum. Emergency room visits are another one that are very often going to be subject to the deductible, and one that is almost always subject to the deductible and co-insurance is hospitalization. Okay, so those are things that are most commonly going to be subject to the deductible and co-insurance, but really you want to look at it with a health insurance agent to make sure that you're understanding all the nuances of the policy so you're not getting blindsided. Nobody likes surprises. And the best way to avoid surprises is to work with an agent and get a quote. By the way, our services are available completely free to you. You don't pay us anything for whether it's a quote for yourself, for your family, or even for your small business with 2 to 49 employees. If you go to www.betterwaycolorado.com, you can fill out a short form. It won't take you 2 minutes, and we'll get in touch with you and do some quotes and explain how the policy works for you so there won't be any surprises. Now, there is some good news, though, that even when things are subject to the deductible, let's say you have that $2,500 deductible we gave in the example, and let's say that you get an MRI, and that's going to be, more often than not, that is going to be subject to the deductible. Now, the good news is that for any types of services that you're receiving, and specifically I'm talking about non-emergency services here, so no life or limb emergency. But as long as you're going to a in-network facility, you should automatically get the pre-negotiated contracted rates. And those discounts are pretty significant. It's going to vary from one carrier to another, but it's very common to see discounts of 35, 40, 45% off of the retail price that somebody without insurance might wind up paying. So that's why it's very important, even when you know that you're going to be out of pocket for a particular expense because it is subject to the deductible, it's still very important to always show your insurance ID card to the provider, A, so you can get the negotiated rate that's going to reduce the amount that you pay, and B, so the insurance company knows that you had a claim, because that amount that you're paying, not only is it discounted, but remember that's also counting towards the deductible and towards your out-of-pocket maximum. And while you may think that nothing's going to happen for the rest of the year, and you may think that's going to be your only claim, God only knows. So it's always best to run it through the insurance company to make sure that they're aware that the claim occurred, and again, so you can get those negotiated rates that will reduce the amount that you're paying for your health care. So even though there's not a copay, you still are getting value for your insurance policy. And so anyways, and just checking my notes here. So really that kind of sums it up. So even if the policy doesn't have a copay for something, you always want to make sure the services are in network. Now, you heard me mention about life or limb emergencies. For life or limb emergencies, under the Affordable Care Act, the insurance company is required to cover that as a in-network benefit, but you're not going to get any negotiated rates on that. But frankly, if it's a life or limb emergency, there's a good chance that you're going to meet your deductible and out-of-pocket maximum anyways. But Again, the best call is always going to be to work with a licensed insurance agent. And again, my company, Colorado Health Insurance Brokers, be very happy to assist. Simply go to www.betterwaycolorado.com. We'll be more than happy to reach out to you and help you evaluate all the different plan options for yourself, for your family, for your small business, and help you find the plan that's going to be the most suitable for you, and also make sure that you understand all the moving parts, how the policy works. That way you're not going to get surprises, or at least you're going to reduce the likelihood of having any surprises. I hope this has been helpful, and stay tuned tomorrow for another video. Thank you so much.